Hello everyone, I'm Brian and welcome to my KuroPixel channel. Today I want to talk about Shenmue. And for those of you that don't know what Shenmue is, I'm going to tell you about that and some of my personal experiences relating to Shenmue and things like that. The way that really brought Shenmue to my attention was there was a disc on the official Dreamcast magazine. It was not a playable demo, it was just a video of lots of footage from Shenmue. What made this footage very interesting to me is there were all of these amazing detailed looking characters that had realistic movements, and the environments were from Japan and they looked amazing. It was unlike anything I had ever seen before. And when Shenmue came out, I don't know when I bought it. It must have been about within a month or so of the release. But you know what? If you had pre-ordered Shenmue, you would get a soundtrack that came with it. And looking back, I just feel so stupid that I didn't pre-order that game and get the soundtrack that would come with it. Well, it's too late now, right? I'll never forget when I came home and I put Shenmue in my Dreamcast and I loaded it up for the first time. You're treated to like this cinematic, like a movie experience. And what was cool about it was all made with in-game engine stuff. It was not some pre-rendered movie like you would see on a lot of the PlayStation games at the time. This was all done in real time, and it was written like a movie, in the style of a movie. I think the first thing people notice about Shenmue is, if you are playing the English version, is the voice acting.
There's something I'd like to ask you. Right now, I got some business to take care of. Got it. See you later.
Yeah, let's get this out of the way. The voice acting is pretty cheesy, but that's part of the charm. That's part of the charm of this game. Let me briefly talk about the story of Shenmue, so for those of you that aren't aware of it, you'll have a better understanding of how this game works. So you are the main character, Ryo Hazuki, and you come home one day and there's this dark, scary guy who is in the dojo where your father teaches martial arts. He is demanding something about a mirror from your father, and your father is he's not going to give up that mirror no matter what happens. And what happens is your father is killed by Landy, and Landy takes this mirror and then he leaves. And you, as the main character, you can't prevent this. This is the beginning cinematic, so you have to see your father die. And now you know what you need to do. This story is about avenging your father's death and trying to figure out the mystery of who was that man and where did he come from and what's he need this mirror for, right? You could just buy a mirror at a store. What's so special about this one? After the cinematic finishes, it goes to the next day, and you know, you're the main character, you are grieving for your father. The cool thing is, Ryo, the main character, lives in a very, very big Japanese style house. The game was so detailed that you could walk around in this house. I must have spent 30 minutes to an hour exploring this house. There's so many things, and what separates this game from other games of exploration and open world is details. You can go in a room and you can open a drawer and see the contents of that drawer. Most games would take the easy way out and just have like a flat, drawer, and you can see the drawer but you can't open it. No, Shenmue actually had things in every drawer that you could open. And to me, I love that stuff. I want to open drawers and find cool stuff. What makes Shenmue so special and loved by probably many fans around the world is the way that it's flowing with love and appreciation for both Japanese culture and Chinese culture. For people that are from the US or from Europe or anything like that, this game is so exotic because it's unlike anything we've ever experienced before. The setting takes place in the 1980s, when Japan was at its prime and the most successful. And you can see it and you can experience 1980s Japan. I didn't live in Japan in the 80s, But even I feel nostalgic when I walk through the towns and talk to the people and see the types of clothing that people wear. It's from the 80s, and it's so nostalgic, and it's so cool. And a lot of games are not made with this kind of care and attention to detail anymore. So this game was just something really special to me. Shenmue 1 came out in the US, and I would say it was a success, but it was also one of the most expensive video games to develop. I think it must have cost about, $200 million to develop Shenmue. Not just the first game, but the whole series as a whole. It cost a lot of money. It was the most expensive video game ever produced at the time, and unfortunately there was no way it could sell enough to make up the money that it cost to produce it. And so Sega didn't really care for the Shenmue franchise. However, Shenmue 2 came out in Japan and Europe. Shenmue 2 came out. Shenmue 2 is way different from the first game because you are in Hong Kong, and Hong Kong, I think, is about 4 times as big in this game as the first area in the first game. And I got lost so many times, but the story continues, and you continue searching for the man that killed your father and trying to learn more about him and the people that are surrounding him. So if you like a good story and exploration, these are really great games. One thing I should mention is Shenmue 2 for the Dreamcast never released in the US. What happened is, I think Sega canceled the release for the US, and Microsoft came in and they talked to Sega, and they came up with an agreement to release Shenmue 2 on the Xbox that had recently launched. I guess that was great because for fans of Shenmue, if you had an Xbox, you could go buy Shenmue 2 and continue your story. But the problem was, all of your save data from Shenmue 1 on the Dreamcast, you couldn't use it on the Xbox. So all of that time you spent, training your character and going to toy machines and buying collectible toys, you couldn't take that with you from the first game. What everyone needs to know about Shenmue 2 is the ending to Shenmue 2 is, quite frankly, it's a cliffhanger. So you're going to be dying to know what happens next when you play the end of this game. Fans of the series have asked for years and years to Sega and the creator of Shenmue for a sequel so that the story can continue. And for a long time it looked like that wasn't going to happen. But actually this year Shenmue 3 was announced on Kickstarter by Yu Suzuki, the creator of Shenmue himself, and through all the donations, Shenmue 3 is being funded to be on PC and PS4. That's fantastic, but what about people that have never experienced the original series? That's kind of a problem. So you have a few options. One is you can go out and buy a used Dreamcast, maybe online or something like that, and you can buy the Dreamcast Shenmue games. That's kind of a lot of work for just one series. It's only 2 games. Another thing you can do is you can watch Let's Plays on YouTube playing Shenmue, and that way you can follow the story. Heck, there's probably someone out there that has cut all the cinematics and the gameplay to make a full movie. Actually, on the Xbox release of Shenmue 2, it came with a DVD called Shenmue the Movie, and it was cut together from the first game to teach everyone the story from the first game. Okay, finally, I want to talk about Shenmue and its effect on me. If I hadn't have played Shenmue, I wouldn't have become more interested in Japanese culture, and I wouldn't be here now. Now I live and I work in Japan. I'm so fluent in Japanese. I can play Shenmue, and I can understand about 90% of it. Let me tell you just how cool this is right now, okay? So I played Shenmue 1 and I played Shenmue 2 in English when I was in the US, when I was younger. This has been the most rewarding thing, is to go back and play these Shenmue games in Japanese, becoming more involved, in the story and the atmosphere and being taken back in time to 1980s Japan. That is the coolest thing, to be able to play the original game of something that you really enjoyed, you really loved. In the English version, several things have changed or things are simplified, and I feel like if you play the Japanese version, you're getting the original version. You're hearing exactly what the characters say. There's a lot of things in Shenmue that I did not pick up on when I played it first. There's tiny things that make sense, you know, like for example, Ryo gets a part-time job, and one example is when he gets paid, it's always in a, you know, this very narrow envelope. Money is usually not given directly. It's always put in an envelope before you give it to someone. And so those kind of things were just really interesting. This game is either you love it or you hate it. If you love it, you understand why it's so special. If you hate it, you're going to say something like, oh, it's, you know, there's so many tasks, it's a lot of waiting, it's very slow. And that's, I understand that, you know, this game's not for everyone. There are so many more gamers in the world that never got a chance to experience Shenmue. And for me, that's just really sad. And I'm hoping that Sega will re-release Shenmue 1 and 2 for modern consoles like the PS4 and the Xbox One, so that people looking forward to Shenmue 3 can go back and play these original games. If you like this video, please subscribe so I can make more videos. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.